Holy shit, we got buffs. That's right, Brewmaster is being buffed in the next upcoming patch 11.1.5, and in this video I want to talk about these buffs, and I'm going to quickly talk about what is happening with the other tanks, because I think it's important context, because in a vacuum, the Brewmaster buffs are great, but when you're also seeing other tanks kind of get pulled a little bit more in line, it makes for a more competitive atmosphere and environment for the Mythic Plus community, so let's talk about it. Starting off with Blood DK, Blood is life. This Blood Beast is what it's referred to, is now actually going to only explode for 35% of the damage, over 50. This is a pretty substantial nerf, but I don't think it's anything to really write home about. This was the more RNG aspect of the BDK. This is what sometimes allowed Blood Death Knights to do outrageous amount of damage. Sand Lane is doing a little bit more than Prot Warrior is currently, and Prot Warrior took a pretty substantial nerf a couple weeks ago. So I think this is attempting to pull the Blood Death Knight a little bit in line. And with that, you're also seeing slight buffs to Deathbringer. I don't know what this really does for the class, if I'm being honest, but with Sand Lane being so competitive currently, and this being the preferred playstyle of a lot of the BDKs at the top end, I think that this is more of a nerf than a buff. Next, we also have some Vengeance Demon Hunter tuning. Now, the Eldrazi Reaver Incorruptible Spirit effect is now only 10%, 15%. This is a absorb healing effect that they were getting from their Eldrazi tree. This is only affecting Vengeance. This is a very minor nerf to their healing and survivability, kind of at all points throughout a key. I don't think this is going to kill the class. It's a slight nerf to their healing. They're already getting so much healing, and they're going to have higher secondary stats in a couple of weeks, so I think they're going to be fine. I think the Sigil of Sounds is a bigger nerf. It's being brought from a base 4 to a base 2. You're still gaining an extra 2 seconds from one of your talents. Cycle of Binding, I believe it's called. You guys can fact check me on that. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but basically, there aren't a lot of times in keys where I think where Sigil of Sounds is absolutely needed. It is definitely a great utility spell for locking down mobs. I think Prot Paladin does it a little bit better with Avenger Shield this season specifically, because like I said, there aren't a lot of pulls where I'm like, there's 4, 5, 6 casters in here that we need to kick all the time, or we need to silence them out. And Boomkin kind of already brings that with Solar Beam. So while this is a nerf, I don't think it's that impactful. It's still going to be 4 seconds with that talent, where it's currently 6. So fine nerf. Last but not least, Guardian Druid is getting a very small damage nerf. This seems out of left field to me. Guardian Druid isn't, first off, as popular of a tank as most of the others. It's well above Brewmaster, but it's definitely not crazy popular. It's also not doing the most damage. So seeing a nerf on this is just a little confusing, but it is being brought down slightly. You guys can thank Squish Vegan for that. And then Prot Warrior and Prot Paladin weren't getting touched at all, so don't have to worry about it if you're playing one of those classes. Yeah, untouched, which I'm pretty fine with. I think Prot Warrior's in a good spot right now. It can do a lot of damage. It has some weakness and susceptibility in runs where it can fall over, but for the most part, I think it's fine. And I think Templar's kind of the same boat. You can play Lightsmith for a little bit more of a tankier build. You're going to lose a lot of damage for it. Most people are playing Templar. Templar's doing well, but again, it's susceptible to dying in certain instances unless it's being played extremely well. So let's talk about Brewmaster. Holy cow. So I'm going to break this up into basically survivability, the damage buffs, and then kind of the things that don't matter. And the things that don't matter is this Brewmaster's Balance buff. This is a passive we have in our kit that buffs our armor by 45%. We're a leather-based tank that doesn't get armor from other sources. Bears get it from being in bear form and from Iron Fur. DHs get it from being in meta and their demon spikes. Brewmasters are not an armor-based tank, so we do not care about this. This buff is going to end up mitigating the tiniest amount of physical damage, so this is more of like they kind of throw us a little bone to make us feel a little bit tankier against some auto attacks or some physical hits. But if we go in game and we take a gander at our armor, we have 47,000 armor. My Prot Warrior has like 180,000. Our physical damage is being reduced by only 23%, which is not a lot. So don't really think too hard about this buff. You might notice, I don't think you'll notice it unless you're really thinking about it. You might notice a little bit, but it's not the thing that's going to keep you alive in a key. But again, I'll take it. So next we have a mastery buff. Now, the best way I can explain this is, at least this is assuming how it worked. I tried going on PTR, but PTR is not updated with the current buffs yet. Basically, if I take off all my mastery gear, which I don't have a lot of it, by the way, I'm going to get myself to 0% mastery, or I guess 0 mastery stats equipped. My base mastery is 7%. If the way that I'm reading this is that they're changing this number from 7 to 12. As you can see here, Elusive Brawler's bonus to dodge chance increased by 5%. If they increase it only by a true 5%, this is also an insignificant change, because it's going to be like 7.2 or whatever it is. But if it's a flat 5%, that actually will put us at 12, which means that the benchmark of hitting 20% mastery will be a lot more achievable. And why is that important? So you think of these as like you want to kind of hit little breakpoints. And so every time you get a stack of Elusive Brawler, you're going to increase your chance to dodge the next attack, in this case, by 10% per stack. So in a case where you're fighting 3 mobs and you cast Blackout Kick, this is going to give you Elusive Brawler 3 stacks. So as you start to hit more and more targets and gain more and more stacks, you're going to go up and your dodge chance is only going to increase. Eventually, when you're at 10 stacks, it's essentially 100%. Obviously, I'm a little bit lower than 10%. I'm at 9.7. But the idea is that if you're able to hit 20, instead of having to go to 10 stacks, I only have to go to 5 stacks. Chances are in a dungeon environment, you're probably going to be consuming it at 2, 3, 4 stacks, sometimes even just at 1, because you're going to be dodging a lot of different attacks at the same time. And of course, there's dodge diminishing return. But basically, if they increase our base to 12% instead of 7, getting to 20% mastery is going to be a pretty important breakpoint for Mythic Plus specifically. Not sure, I don't think it's going to be that valuable in Raid, because it just doesn't really matter in Raid because Stagger carries. But it's going to make mastery valuable and something worth having. Right now, a lot of Brewmasters are leaning heavily into crit and verse. Some are stacking mastery, some are putting a little bit into haste because you just need it if you're playing Master of Harmony. But this is looking good. Also, this opens up the potential to play One with the Wind and Strike at Dawn. Now, these are talents that I've personally already been running. I've been doing them in 16s and 17s, and it's been feeling really good. Despite not being able to path through Zen Med and basically gaining a points to put into any other talent I'd like, this setup is making me feel extremely tanky when I need to, especially in dungeons like Floodgate, Priory, Dark Flame Cleft, these types of like heavy physical dungeons. You're able to dodge very frequently, and One with the Wind makes it so there's a 10% chance that won't get consumed, which is pretty strong. So I think overall, Master getting buffed and then being able to benefit more from Elusive Brawler from these talents is actually gonna maybe be something that we see in the near future once the patch comes out and we start getting more stacks and allocating things where we need to, whether it's on rings or jewelry or any other crafted pieces or just weapons in general. So overall, really good buff. I'm really excited for this one. Next, we have Celestial Brew Absorb. Oh, really quick. I guess basically if it's a 5% on the 7%, it's going to be very bad. If it's a 5% in addition to the 7% we're already getting, very good. So next we have, let's talk about Celestial Brew because this is another defensive one. And basically if Celestial Brew heals for 100, it's a 100 damage absorb, it's not going to be 120. So right now I hit Celestial Brew, it's 1.3 mil. It's going to, whatever 20% is. I don't know math. And it's only going to scale up from there based on the amount of purified cheese stacks you have. So it's just going to make Celestial Brew feel better to hit. In a Floodgate key, it is going to be a little bit muddled by what I'm currently running, but Celestial Brew was give or take 3% under Get to the Ox. This 15% or 20% buff should push it up to be competitive with Get to the Ox. And because of my extremely high crit, Celestial Fortune just dominated in this run. But Celestial Brew should now actually beat out Gift of the Ox in some situations. So it all depends on your secondary stats. So yeah, that's a fucking excellent one. And next we have our single target buffs. Now Tiger Palm and Rising Sun Kick both having damage increased by 15%. Let's start with Rising Sun Kick. So Rising Sun Kick only affects Master of Harmony. It's just a flat 15% Shado-pan buff to that ability. It doesn't really matter because it isn't benefited from anything in our tree, but it is going to benefit Master of Harmony because of Overwhelming Force. This is a frontal little animation that goes out from your character whenever you hit any of your single target abilities, including RSK, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm. This is naturally going to buff up this, and then obviously it's accompanied with a Tiger Palm buff as well. Now Tiger Palm also affects the Shado-pan tree because of efficient training. The 15% damage buff on top of the already 20% you're getting from this, Tiger Palm's naturally going to hit harder while playing Shado-pan, meaning that it's still going to be more competitive in single target damage, but the AoE and maybe the Mythic Plus side, I think you're going to see more players leaning towards Master of Harmony in the 11.1.5 patch, which is just good. I think it's exciting. Master of Harmony and Shado-pan are very comparable right now. You have about 30 of the top 50 players playing Shado-pan. You have 20 playing Master of Harmony, which means there's a good, healthy 60-40 split. This might weigh it to 20 or 50-50. It might be more 60-40 the other way around. But overall, these changes are super good. Well, those are my overall thoughts on the changes. I think Mastery might become more valuable. I think the damage buffs are fine. I think it's kind of what Brewmaster needed. I would have liked to see a Spinning Crane Kick buff as well. We currently have an issue with Snap Threat, especially when mobs aren't stacked. Master of Harmony requires you to hit mobs with a frontal, which isn't very helpful. And Keg Smash when playing Master of Harmony doesn't do as much damage as it does when playing Shado-pan, so you don't have as much Snap Threat on pull. You need mobs to get kind of stacked up first. And then on the other hand, Shado-pan, Keg Smash just has a lot of issues for it when getting threat. It has a fairly small radius, so you need mobs to be stacked kind of anyways. And Rising, like Spinning Crane Kick just needs a buff. Just buff it by like 15-20%. It's fine. Blizzard, just do it. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for the video. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know down below. And if you want to see me run any keys and complain about Brewmaster, check me out in the description below. Anyways, I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.